Hello again, everyone, and welcome to One-on-One. I'm Martin False. Very pleased to have with me dear friend, and he has ascended in the ranks here in Terrebonne Parish, Judge Timmy Ellender Jr. A lot of people call him Judge Jr. His dad was a well-known judge here in the area. How you doing, Judge? Good to see you.
Doing well, Martin. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you as always. I don't get to see you at work all the time, but it's good to see you here.
Hold that thought. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back. Judge Timmy Ellender Jr. Don't go away. One-on-One is brought to you by the Law Office of Waits and Downer. I know you never grew up saying I'm going to be a judge one day. Nobody really, very few people know what they're going to be until they get 16 or 17. Some of them 18. Some of them don't know till they're in college or whatever. But you ever sort of pinch yourself and go, man, I did pretty good for myself?
I do, but the trappings of that is you get stagnant. Mm-hmm. Every day when I do my job, I want to do better. And I don't know what I want to do with the rest of my life, but what I'm doing every day in this job fuels me to the betterment of myself, I feel like. Mm-hmm. I knew that, for all those astrologers out there, mm-hmm. I'm a Libra. Okay, so that's the symbol of scales of justice. Mm-hmm. I've always been... Fairness is something that is just to my core. And I cannot stand seeing someone get over on someone. I can't stand it. Mm-hmm. And so everyone always has a feeling of rooting for the underdog.
Right.
We got in the habit of that with the Saints, right?
Mm-hmm.
But rooting for the underdog and making sure that those individuals that may not feel that the justice system is fair to them, or they're getting a bad hand, mm-hmm. I'd like to feel as though I play a part in equalizing access to fairness and getting people the opportunity to walk out of the courtroom and say, wow, that was much more of a fair experience than I possibly could have imagined. Mm-hmm. And so, again, going back to a calling, being a lawyer wasn't a calling for me. I felt like I was helping people, but I can help more people as a judge, because in every case I can make an impact and not necessarily advocate for my client's position, but make sure that regardless of who's on whose side, mm-hmm. fairness is going to be dealt. The cards are going to be the same. Mm-hmm. Fairness, it's 52 card deck, and mm-hmm. it's fair.
And I got to say this, because this has been in the news lately, but it's sort of a no-brainer and it's obvious to me. When you become a judge, you take a tremendous pay cut to become a judge.
Right.
It's really one of the few professions where you make a conscious effort to cut your salary. And, personal injury lawyers in general, they do well, but they cover tough cases. They're in a tough courtroom. Then you decide to be a judge. You got a set salary, and I'm going to tell the public, it ain't that much, okay, when you break it down. So why do attorneys make that conscious effort to be a judge when they know they are going to get cut?
Okay. You get to a point in your life where, for me, and I hope people can relate to this, you get to a point in your life where I'm 51, okay? Mm-hmm. I feel... mortality entering my subconscious mind. Mm-hmm. And time is more important than money for me, okay? Mm-hmm. And quality time is more important for me. As a lawyer, you may get a call in the middle of the night from a client who is having a rough go at it. Mm-hmm. And that, if you do your job right, you're walking around with a ball of stress of trying to meet your client's expectations. Mm-hmm. And so, if you practice law for 20 years, you save your money. I don't own camps. I don't own boats. I want the ability to have quality time in my job and to feel good about what I do. And if that comes at the expense of making less money, then that's something that I'm going to deal with, and I have dealt with. And, I don't want to be driven by the almighty dollar. I think it's a poison in our society. And I think more people would find happiness if they get their eye off of that ball and more narrowly tailor their lives towards what's going to make them happy, which is finding something that they really love to do. And this fits for me, and it happens to be completely congruent with helping as many people as I possibly can. So that's my thought process about it, is that if I could serve and do good and feel really good about what I do, that is what makes me happy, not monetary gain. Now, I know that a lot of people in this parish, especially at the Ida, are working paycheck to paycheck and are struggling, especially with inflation and whatnot. And so I don't begrudge people for taking jobs that are going to benefit them financially, but for me, this is my path, and that's just the way it is for me. I don't profess to suggest that I should tell other people how to live their lives, but I'm hopeful that's relatable to some people, that having a job that gives you the feeling of you're helping people satisfies you to the nth degree above monetary gain. So that was it for me.
All right. For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm. Your first case as a lawyer, do you remember it?
No, I don't.
Really?
Do not remember it.
Is that good or bad?
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. I mean, I like to think that even though I'm not conscious of cases that I've had in the past, that lessons were learned that tack on to my ability to manage my caseload and all that sort of thing. But I started out working for Mike St. Martin. He's a fantastic, he's a legend in Terrebonne Parish. He was a maverick in practicing law here in town and helped out a lot of people that were injured. I learned a lot from his firm and what it meant to take on a client's interest and really stand behind that person and work hard for that person. So I don't remember all the cases that I had, but I do remember feeling really good about representing people that were injured at work, that were not being dealt with fairly. And so that just fueled the way I went about my practice. But not remembering individual cases, I think, is probably a good thing.
Yeah. I've covered many stories in courtrooms. I've had a chance to sit over 40 years and watch. God, we could go back to Judge Broussard and Judge Whipple, and I mean, all kind of. And you get a good look at the different personalities and how they run their courtroom. You see some that are very nice, easygoing. See some, that cell phone goes off in that courtroom, you're going to get the look you've never got before. Who was the toughest judge you ever had to face as a lawyer?
Every single judge in federal court.
Okay.
Yeah. So the judges in federal court, for those I don't know, they're appointed. Yeah. We call them Article III judges to the U.S. Constitution. These are people that are appointed by the president and go through the confirmation process, just like the Supreme Court justices that everyone gets to see. But that happens with every federal judge, circuit courts and the district court judges. And they're appointed for life. I don't know if that plays into that, but there's a degree.
They have nothing to lose.
Yes, there's a degree of formality, is a congenial way of saying it, that doesn't lend itself to relaxation. And I'm talking, people need to have discipline in the courtroom.
Right.
But you're not going to get to the core of the matters in state court without setting the tone of a degree of relaxation so that people can be relaxed, testify truthfully, and get everything out they want to get out that falls within the code. That's the best way to do it. So I don't want to be the judge that people come into and are scared of, afraid of. That's not to say that I'm not going to be strict. I will be, and I have been. But it doesn't do any good for people to have anxiety and worry about being in the courtroom. There is formalities, and we adhere to those. But at the same time, if I can smile, it transcends the rest of the mood in the courtroom. And that will allow people to tell me what they need to tell me in a relaxed way. And that's just the way to get the information is to, so I don't want to be that way, and I hope that I'm not perceived that way. And I do care about what other people think about how I do my job. That's important. That's why we have elections, right? So I don't think it's a bad thing to really care about what people think. I want feedback, and the lawyers that come before me that I used to practice with, you know, I'll often ask them, and we go back and forth and have feedback because I want to make sure that I haven't changed, right?
Right.
And so a lot of the lessons that I've learned from my father and from others is to really make sure that you don't let the robe get to you. And
Be true to yourself.
yeah, and I feel like that's something that's going to be an everyday, constant reminder. I think it's a healthy thing to do, and that's so federal court. That's where those judges are, those tough judges that are sort of intolerant to anything.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm.
I know Joe Waits won't mind me saying this. One time he came up to me and go, you know, later on in life, after the DA thing, what do you think about me being a judge? I took a pause, I looked at him, I said, impossible. He said, why? I said, because you can't sit still for 5 minutes. How are you going to go in a courtroom for 8 hours? And I remember him looking at me going, that's a good point.
Yeah.
You got so much energy.
Well, that's
How
right.
do you sit straight for 8 hours?
That's apropos to what you were just mentioning, is that people see me as someone that's got a lot of energy that can't sit still, but I grew up being hustling, you know?
Yeah.
If you're a sole practitioner as a lawyer, you're out there hustling.
Yeah.
You're in court, you're meeting with clients, you're doing everything, you're working late hours, and there's something about that feels great.
It's moving. Mentally, it's moving.
The pursuit of something, right?
Yeah.
All I can tell you is that if you have the discipline to do the right thing, then you can channel your energy in different ways. And sitting still and being acutely aware of what's being said and being ready, being prepared, more than anybody in the courtroom, that is the way to channel that seemingly can't sit down still energy, right?
Right.
So that's what I've done with it, and I understand that it's difficult to sit down in that chair sometimes, but we take breaks. I mean, you want to take breaks. You want to have people having the ability to take a sip of water, go to a restroom break, go smoke a cigarette if you need to go smoke a cigarette. I want people relaxed in my courtroom because that's the only way to get to the true elements of what we need to learn in court to make fair decisions. So I've channeled that energy, and I go to the gym, Martin. You know, there's times when, you know, when I get out of court, I run to the gym and I get it all out and exhaust myself. So there's a balance there, and I like to think that I found it, and I feel like I'm gonna get better with time, right?
About your kids, they see you and they watch you and all that. At an early age, can you tell if they sort of leaning toward a certain way, or do you just do what your parents did and let them be kids?
Yeah, I don't. I don't have questions with them about what do you want to do when you grow up. My 21-year-old is at LSU. She's a junior.
21 already. Wow.
Right. And my 11-year-old is here in school here locally. They're not impressed with Dad, other than me being a good dad to them, right? I let them be themselves. My children or my daughters are, I try to teach them autonomy. My youngest is in jiu-jitsu twice a week, and that's one rule I have with her, is that until you're 18, you will go to jiu-jitsu twice a week. I'll keep them out of the boundaries, and I want them to be themselves and develop that way and have confidence in themselves. And so that's about the way I do it with them. My youngest, I don't help her with homework. She helps herself. She's figuring it out on her own. You let them fail. They don't like to fail. And help them learn how to avoid that by learning good lessons. And so that's just the way I do it. That's my parenting style. I can't be accused of being a helicopter parent. I'm more of a go out and play in traffic kind of father, and I think they learn autonomy that way.
I know you don't want to teach them math. You said you hated math already.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm just phobic. There's too much certainty to math, right?
Yeah. Let me ask you this, and I appreciate you coming by. And time flies, and we're down to the last question. And I'm sure you're a young age, so we probably will have another one-on-one down the line with you. But if I were able to get your dad and your mom and your family and your diverse group of friends, and
it's very diverse.
Yeah, very. Pull in guys like Joe Waits and others. Pull in judges who you've been in front of in a center right game. I want one word that would describe Timmy Ellender Jr. One word. And they him and all this. No, can't do it in one word. No, one word. What would you hope the one word would be?
Zeal.
I've never had zeal on one-on-one.
Zeal.
Yeah. That's the marrow again. There's the marrow.
Yeah. Carpe diem, zeal, sucking the marrow out of life, realizing that you're lucky and blessed to be alive. You think about the past, the history of mankind, and how good we have it, how blessed we are. Even in the direst of times, just go back 150 years of what it was like, the childbirth rates and whatnot. You want to affect people positively? Think about how lucky and blessed you are to live, and go get it. Go get it. You know?
The zeal judge.
I hope
Timmy
so.
Ellender.
I hope so.
Good seeing you again, Judge.
Happy to
Proud
be-
of you. Thank you so much, and I enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you, Martin. Good to see you.
All right.
For all of your cases, including those with catastrophic significance, call Waits and Downer Law Firm. This one-on-one program has been brought to you by the law offices of Waits and Downer.
Where sugar cane is grown. So much to see on HTV. Stick with us 'cause we're your home.